All right, today we're tackling a really intense and complex relationship, the one between people and snakes in India. And trust me, it's a story about way more than just fear. It's about public health, survival, and a side of ecology you probably haven't thought about.
So let's just jump right in with a number that honestly is hard to wrap your head around. 58,000. That is the estimated number of people who die from snake bites in India every single year. I mean, that is just a staggering figure for something many of us think of as a rare accident.
And to put that number into perspective, 58,000 deaths. That's nearly half of all snakebite deaths on the entire planet. This is exactly why India has earned this really tragic title, the unofficial snakebite capital of the world. Okay, so let's really break this down because this is a true public health crisis. It's not just a bunch of random, unlucky incidents. No, it's a nationwide problem with some very clear and very troubling patterns.
So where is this happening? Well, the data is just crystal clear. An overwhelming 97% of these deaths happen in rural areas. So this isn't some random threat that affects everyone equally. It hits farmers, farm laborers, and their children the hardest.
And the danger isn't even spread out through the year. It spikes, and I mean dramatically spikes, during the monsoon season, from about June to September. You have to ask, why then? Well, it's kind of the perfect storm. You've got more snakes moving around because of the water, and at the exact same time, you have peak farming season, with millions of people working out in the fields, often in the dark and without proper footwear.
But, a snake encounter in a village is a totally different world from one in a big city. The conflict, the fear, the actual danger, it all plays out in two completely different ways. So out in rural India, we're talking about daily peril. It's a real threat to your life and your ability to work. Bites often happen inside the home, when people are sleeping. And getting to a doctor with antivenom, that can take hours. Now, in the cities, it's mostly a conflict of fear and panic. A snake shows up in a garden, people freak out, they call a rescuer, but actual deaths, incredibly rare. You see the difference? One is a massive health crisis, the other is a wildlife management issue.
Okay, but here's where the story takes a really fascinating twist. Because while we see snakes as this huge threat, they're also playing this absolutely essential role in the ecosystem that, believe it or not, directly helps the very people who are most afraid of them. So it forces you to ask a really important question. Is this view of snakes as just these villains, is it even accurate? Or is there a whole other side to this that we're missing?
And the answer is a huge, resounding no. Snakes are essential partners. They are nature's own pest control, saving an incredible amount of food crops by eating rodents. They're a critical link in the food chain. And get this, their venom is the source for all kinds of life-saving medicines, including the very antivenom used to treat their bites. They are literally the source of their own cure. And here's the one fact that should change everything. The vast majority of snake species in India, we're talking over 85% of them, are completely non-venomous. They pose no life-threatening danger to us at all. The fear is just so much bigger than the actual statistical threat.
So, knowing all this, how do we move forward? Well, the great news is that this is a solvable problem. Let's look at the real, actionable strategies being used right now to create a safer future for everyone, people and snakes included.
It really boils down to a four-part strategy. First up, community education. It's huge. Just teaching simple things like using a flashlight at night can save lives. Second, we have to improve medical access, making sure antivenom gets to rural clinics and doctors know how to use it. Third is creating safer environments, better housing, better waste management to keep rodents away. And finally, supporting humane rescue networks, so the response isn't to kill the snake, but to safely relocate it.
And India isn't fighting this battle alone. Other countries have been dealing with similar challenges for years, and their success stories give us a really powerful blueprint for what can be achieved. Just look at some of these brilliant ideas. In Nepal, they set up a network of motorcycle first responders to get victims to the hospital fast. It cut the death rate by 95%. In Brazil, antivenom is free and available to everyone through their public health system. And in Bangladesh, they actually position antivenom in flood-prone areas before the monsoon even hits. These examples prove that with the right strategy, this problem is totally manageable. So let's bring it all back to India and look at the path forward. The ultimate goal here isn't just to bring the number of deaths down. It's to fundamentally change the entire relationship, from one of constant conflict to one of genuine coexistence.
And we're finally starting to see some real momentum at the national level. Look at this timeline of policy changes. In 2017, snakebite was finally recognized for what it is, a neglected tropical disease. Fast forward to 2024, a national action plan was launched with a bold goal: cut deaths in half by 2030. And maybe most importantly, it's now a notifiable disease, which means every single case has to be reported. That is a game changer for getting good data and sending resources where they're needed most.
And this really brings us to the heart of the matter. The real solution isn't about getting rid of snakes. It's about creating a world where people are safe and where snakes can continue to play their vital role in the environment. Coexistence. That is the ultimate antidote.
Because in the end, this isn't just a medical problem or a logistics problem. It's a cultural one. It's about education, it's about understanding, and it's about a pretty fundamental shift in how we see the world around us. Which really leaves us with one final big question. How do we turn that deep-seated fear into a sense of informed respect?